Imagine you're standing at the edge of a massive canyon. Your pockets are completely empty, and you're staring across this huge drop. On the other side is where you want to be, financial freedom. That empty space in the middle is the performance gap. It's the daunting distance between just getting by and actually building wealth. A lot of people try to cross it by only doing what they love, but relying entirely on passion is a bit like riding a unicycle across a tightrope. It's incredibly wobbly, often pays minimum wage, and you usually end up falling in. Others go the opposite route, taking a high-paying job they absolutely despise. That's like trying to cross in a heavy, slow-moving tank. You get bogged down, miserable every single day, and eventually you just get stuck. To make it safely across, you need to build a very specific vehicle. You need a motorbike to drive your daily income and a sidecar attached to it that grows your wealth in the background. Making it to the other side doesn't depend on how fast you can run. It comes down entirely to how you engineer this vehicle. Let's start with the motorbike itself, which represents your active income. To build a strong engine, you need a blueprint, and we call this the value zone. This animated diagram shows exactly how to find it. You have 3 circles: what you like doing, what you're naturally good at, and what people will actually pay you a lot for. When you find a service that overlaps all 3 of those circles, you have your engine. You assemble that engine by stacking one useful skill on top of another. You might learn basic carpentry, add some team leadership, and then figure out how to consult on building structures. Each new skill makes your engine more powerful. You don't necessarily need an expensive degree to get those skills. Looking at these students outside a traditional university, it's easy to assume that's the only path. But a hands-on apprenticeship or teaching yourself a high-earning trade can get you earning faster without the massive debt. Sometimes the best way to learn is by investing the small amounts of cash you do have into basic equipment. Buying a simple used computer, like this old iMac, gives you a launchpad. You can sit there and teach yourself highly valuable skills like video editing or web development right from your bedroom. Another highly practical tool is a driver's license. Notice the L plate on the back of this vintage car navigating traffic. Getting your license early means you can reliably travel to clients or jobs. If you have to rely on public transport, you might be late, and in the professional world, being late is completely unacceptable. Once you stack these practical skills and tools, your active engine is fully assembled. This motorbike allows you to start generating the steady cash flow you'll need to fund the rest of your trip. Now that your motorbike is moving, you need to attach the sidecar. This is your passive engine, the vehicle that builds your wealth without you constantly having to steer it. The simplest way to build this sidecar is through an S&P 500 index fund. Instead of trying to guess which individual company will succeed, this lets you buy tiny slices of the 500 biggest public companies in America all at once. When you leave your money there, it behaves like a snowball rolling down a hill. As it rolls, it picks up more snow. In investing, this means you earn interest on your initial money, and then you earn interest on that new interest, growing bigger and bigger over time. The physicist Albert Einstein is rumored to have called this compound interest the 8th wonder of the world. He said that whoever understands it, earns it, and whoever doesn't, pays it. This line chart compares 2 identical growth paths to show exactly why starting early is so critical. If you invest $250 a month starting at age 18, you could hit about $1.5 million by age 65. But if you wait until you're 28 to start, you only reach about $679,000. Waiting those 10 years costs you over $800,000. Before you put everything into the stock market, you also need an emergency fund. Looking at the secure, solid walls of this grand bank interior is a good reminder to keep 3 to 6 months of living expenses safe. Using a high-interest savings account acts like a protective shield if your main income ever dries up. Your motorbike provides the daily fuel and cash flow, but the sidecar is what gives you unstoppable momentum. Over decades, that sidecar will actually outpace the engine itself. With your motorbike built and the sidecar attached, you can finally rev the engine and begin the long drive across that massive gap. But the journey isn't totally risk-free. Along the way, bad debt acts like a heavy anvil dropping right onto your vehicle, threatening to crush the bridge beneath you. The heaviest anchor of all is consumer debt. If you use a credit card, like this vintage 1959 American Express card, to buy things you can't afford right now, you get dragged down by high interest rates. It slows your progress to a complete crawl. You will face genuine obstacles, like a lack of startup money or learning difficulties. The trick is to find workarounds rather than letting those obstacles turn into excuses for pulling over and stopping. The person who builds their vehicle early gets to cruise along relaxed, letting compound interest do the heavy lifting. The person who waits is forced to sweat and struggle just to maintain the exact same speed. Find your value zone to build your active income. Attach your investing sidecar to capture the power of compounding, and let time be your ultimate advantage. You don't need $1 million to cross the performance gap. You just need to start building the right vehicle today.